Hello, is that better? There you go. My audio is now fixed. Sorry about that, guys. That was weird. That happens sometimes with this. So, all right. Today we are going to be reading Superboy issue number 4. I read this one about a week ago, so I'm a bit rusty on it, but we're just going to go through it together. And as usual, we're keeping it really loose on this stream, nothing too crazy. I'm just, having some fun. So let's bring in our Superboy here. There we go. Let me see. Is this better? I think that's better. All right. Superboy number 4. Now I won't be able to see. I can kind of see the chat a bit. So if people come in, that's cool. If not, we'll just go it alone. All right. So Superboy number 4. There's you got your cover here. We've got this mystery boy and girl, and you're like, who are these people? It's like, who will be the lucky boy and girl to spend a day with Superboy? See inside for the most sensational contest in the history of comics magazines. All right. So whoever owned this particular issue drew in pencil, I guess, over top. The Adventures of Superman when he was a boy. All right. So the Oracle of Smallville. So this is the first story. I usually get about 3 in these old Superboys, and they're usually it's like 50 pages or so. So you get 3, and then you get a couple of other you'll get a couple of other random 1-pager comics or something like that, right? So issue 4 has 3 stories. It has the Oracle of Smallville, Super Safety Boy, and the Submarine Superboy. So those are the 3 that we're going to be looking at. All right. So there's this Oracle that shows up here, and it's basically answering any question. So it says here, all answers guaranteed truthful. Funds to be donated to the Grecken Museum. I don't know. Okay. So this spoilers here. Well, I guess I won't spoil it. So there's these kids buying a ticket, and it's like, oh, I bet this Oracle is a fake. It's like, okay. So they come up to the kids come up, and they're like, okay, let's do a really tricky question. I'll put in the $1 and prove it's all a big humbug. Hello, Dick Saunders. What? You know my name? Gulp. And so they're like, wow, it's like, this is crazy. And the Oracle's like, well, certainly I know everything. I know you live on Lincoln Street, and you have a brother and a sister, and your bike has a dent in the fender. It's like, whoa. So this Oracle's pretty good. And it's like, so they're asking just random questions. And he goes, oh, how many pieces of chalk are there in the math classroom at school? And he goes, the answer is 44. So the kid had it written down. And it's like, 44. Oh my God, golly, right on the button, just as we counted them before leaving class. So that's fine. In the meantime, next person comes up. We got this older lady. She lost her gold ring. He's like, yeah, sure. Boom. He tells her where it is. It's underneath here in the bed, under the couch. There you go. So this other guy shows up. So again, it's just panel after panel of people asking the Oracle questions. We don't have to go through them all. But basically, the surprise here is that Superboy is actually the Oracle. So Superboy is the Oracle. And it's like, how can such a miraculous, all-knowing power exist in this modern day and age? The answer is Superboy. This cave is outside town, and nobody knows I'm here. By using my long-range ventriloquism, so new power, he has long-range ventriloquism. Interesting. I can easily project my voice to the Oracle in the booth, which is just a dummy. So that's how he's been doing it. But how did he know all those answers? Well, they go through and they explain it. He's like, So he uses his telescopic vision and sense of hearing. He's able to pick up questions from miles away, and he can do his ventriloquism act. He's like, yeah, I can locate the stolen car. So someone's like, my car was stolen. He's like, okay. So he uses super speed, finds it, comes in, crashes. Now, this is the guy who stole the guy's car. And this is a Superboy trope and a Superman trope too, but especially in Superboy. Superboy always makes something. Oh, happy birthday, Masters. That's great. We love Superboy here. He's just one of my favorites. So going through some old comics. So Superboy has been, so he found the car thief. He breaks in. And there's always something where Superboy makes something. It's like basically every story he makes some really crazy thing. I almost want to keep track of these. So he makes a cage. So he has all this scrap iron here. And he makes a cage for the guy. So he has to run back and answer the question for the Oracle. So he makes a cage here and takes off. I really like the art in this one too, by the way. Superboy looks really good here. This is really all nice, really nice stuff. All right, so he comes, the stolen cars out of small garage on Center Street. Bring policemen. Okay. So again, he explains how he was able to answer those questions. So basically, he already knew who this kid was, so he knew his name and all of that. When the lady lost her gold ring, he flew to her house, x-rayed visioned everything, found the ring, took the ring out of the pipe, and put it on the carpet. For this guy, he went and did his taxes for him, or he figured out his income and everything. Hey, Arkham. So, okay. So in the meantime, Superboy is trying to get money for this museum and to help fund it. So that's why he created this Oracle, this whole Oracle thing. And he's like, well, it's just $1. I'm going to charge $1 to everybody and I'll help them for $1. And then I'll give the money to the museum. Now, he starts to get questions from people who are really shady. So basically, like, this guy goes up to the Oracle, and the Oracle is supposed to answer every question. And he basically says, well, I lost my blackmailing papers and in my safe. I didn't lose them, sorry. They're stuck in my safe and I forgot the combination. So he's like, I'm going to ask the Oracle for the combination. Now, the problem is that Superboy as the Oracle, has decided that he will actually answer all questions fairly and honestly. So now he's in this predicament where he has to help this criminal get his blackmailing papers back. So he does fly to the safe. And he said, well, firstly, he says his safe probably holds blackmail papers. If I give him the combination, I'm aiding crime. Yet I can't refuse to answer since he paid. And the Oracle has guaranteed always to answer the truth. So how to get out of this one? He's like, well, I have to go through with this. He's waiting for his answer. First, I'll have to go to his hideout. So he finds it. He finds a safe. So he figures out the password or the safe. Now he goes, I don't have to return to the cave. I can throw my voice to the booth from here. So he has super ventriloquism. He says the combination to your safe is 14 right, 11 left, 2 full turns, and 13. He's like, oh, yes, that's it. So now when he comes back, Superboy is waiting for him. So see, technically the Oracle gave the correct answer, but Superboy still stopped the guy. So that's sort of how he got out of that one. And that's kind of your typical thing with these stories. So, okay, let's take a look at our poll here. I put a poll up. Who's your favorite Superboy? And we've got Clark Kent, we've got Connor Kent, and we have Superboy Prime, and there's other ones which I don't remember all of them. But so far Clark Kent has 67%, Connor has 33%. All right. So again, so the beginning of this story had basically nice people asking for combinations and for questions, but now it's all these criminals. So yet again, everything always happens in threes in these comics. So here's another guy asking, he goes, for something. He's like, where's the money? Okay, boom, he finds it. So he has to come back. And but when the bandit seeks his ill-gotten gains, a surprise awaits him courtesy of Superboy. So Superboy captures him. So again, he foils this guy's plans, but still maintains his honesty by answering the question as the Oracle. Now, this is the big one right here. This is my question, Oracle. Who is Superboy? And he's like, oh, crap. And I love the art here because he's just like, oh, no, like, what am I going to do? And he's like, good grief, I've got to answer to keep my pledge, and I cannot tell a lie. What'll I do? So he actually yells out Clark Kent to Superboy. So he actually tells the answer, but he's so fast that he's faster than the speed of sound. So he says, sound takes time to travel through the air. Before my words reach the booth, I have several seconds to counteract them. Somehow. Yet I didn't cheat. I sent forth the answer. So again, he answered. So what he does is he comes outside and starts crashing. Like he starts throwing these boulders. He makes so much noise that this guy couldn't hear it. So he actually couldn't hear the answer. So Superboy still gave the correct answer, didn't lie, gave the answer, but this guy couldn't hear it because of all the noise. But now this criminal is pretty smart. He keeps getting everyone. It's one question, right? One question per person. So now he's making all of his associates pay $1 and ask the same question over and over again. Superboy really should have had a stipulation here saying just one question. You can't repeat it. But anyways, so he basically starts doing the same thing. He creates distractions or sounds so that they don't actually. So he does give the answer, Clark Kent is Superboy, but then he keeps creating these different like sounds or distractions so that they don't really learn who he is. All right. And then Superboy's pretty much had enough. And then these guys get angry because they're not getting the answers. So now they go crazy. They pull a gun out, and then Superboy is forced to stop them. And he does stop them, and then he gives the donations to the museum. So that's your first story right there. This one coming up has one of the weirdest things ever in it, which we're going to get to. So this one is all about safety. So okay, I mean it's Superboy. There's going to be some PSA stuff. So this is all about being safe. So he's part of this safety brigade here. This kid is kind of running around and I'm gonna do something, and they're all on roller skates and he's going super fast, and Superboy can see that there's a truck that's gonna hit him. So Superboy's like, well, we can't have that. Changes to Superboy and he saves the kid. So boom, he swoops up and saves him. And this truck's gonna hit the kids because it swerved. And then he saves the kids there. Saves the truck. And this kid's like, wow, like my entire thing would have caused so much damage, you know? Oh, I love how Superboy repairs the hedges. So it's like he caused the damage here. Well, I mean, the truck was going to hit, so he saved everybody. So he destroyed this the guy's hedge here. And then he ends up fixing it. That's how nice Superboy is. He fixes what he's broken. So this kid's like, man, I never thought that, my hijinks could have caused all these problems. And he's like, yeah, you gotta be safe. So basically they decide to get a video camera. So he teams up with this kid and they're like, let's make a movie about safety. So basically Superboy and this kid fly around Smallville looking for unsafe things to record them and show a video. So for example, there's a little girl, there's a pot. She goes to grab the pot. Superboy, saves her. Now this is boiling water. It'd fall on her. But he saves her from the pot. And he says, and this kid's recording it. You see, he's recording this. And he's like, oh, you got to make sure that the handles are sticking. You left it sticking out. You got to make sure that the handles are turned in, right? So kids don't accidentally grab them from the stove. So the next one here This kid's playing with bow and arrow. He's shooting the arrows around. Could have hurt himself. Again, that could have been you. Superboy saves the day. And then again, safety. You got to be careful with, playing with these arrows. Now, this is a really weird one. This kid's in the bathtub, and they're filming him through a window. Now, that is really funny. That's pretty funny. But it is a different time. And the point of this is that you see that there's a radio here. And Superboy is basically like, look, if that radio falls in, this kid's going to be fried. And it actually does fall in, but Superboy manages to wreck the cables in time so that it doesn't actually electrocute the kid. And he says, listen, you got to be careful. But then he repairs them. Superboy does repair the lines, so that's nice. And then again, we've got a forest fire potential here with these kids, like, just not paying attention. So basically the fire is lit too close to overhang. So there's an overhanging branch that's going to cause a forest fire, right? So he's like, he goes, but aren't you going to put out the fire? It's spreading fast. All in good time. I want them to learn a lesson. You get your film first. So Superboy's letting them film this while they're trying to fight the fire. Now he's going to save them, of course. So he does save them, put out the fire. And here's another one of these. Remember I told you every issue has Superboy making something weird? So every story, not even every issue, every story. So this is really weird. Superboy blasts his way into the solid rock, and he pulls out asbestos. And it's a mineral fiber which can be woven into fireproof material. All right. So he makes, like, costumes for them. Like, why wouldn't he just swoop in and save them? It's so odd. It's just like they feel like Superboy. I don't know if they had to pad this issue or what. But anyway, so, and then he rebuilds the park. He literally rebuilds the trees. He puts them back in. So there you go. And then they show the safety video in class, and that's it. So Superboy safety was the second story. And that one is like pretty weird. So that definitely had the weirdest thing in there. Now we have some random comics. Backwoods Boy. I didn't read this. I don't know if this was any good. So here's one, the Submarine Superboy, where it's like there's a class being taught. Now, wouldn't the water like make it impossible to write with chalk? But anyway. So the kids are all going on like this expedition here. And it's like, oh, you can have these helmets, blah, blah, blah. So they go into the water, and you're seeing all this great stuff in the water. So this is pretty cool. Now, one of the kids' dads has a salvage operation. So they just, like dig up all this stuff or like, get it out of the water. Of course, there's a problem. There's a crack with the helmet, and then he turns into Superboy. He basically saves this entire salvage. The kids are going to be hurt. So Superboy is tying the cable, but the wreck itself is starting to split up and fall all over us. So he comes over here to the guy and he says, listen, the ship you wanted to salvage is starting to break up. And he says, listen, don't take any chance of injuring the kids down there. Get it away from them. Get it away from over them. So Superboy's yanking it. And it's going to cost him money now, because it's going to cost that salvage guy money because this thing's just getting annihilated. So basically, Superboy has to figure out what to do. Yeah. Superboy Prime is Clark Kent from Earth Prime, but I meant like Golden Age Clark Kent or whatever. Not because Superboy Prime was more like a villain, right? So at least he was from my memory. All right. So then you got this other salvage guy who's, I guess, like a bad guy or something, or he's kind of shady. And Superboy kind of feels responsible for that guy losing money on that particular salvage. So he's like, I feel responsible for your failure. I want to help you come back, take on some new salvage contracts, and I'll help you raise the ships. So Superboy actually comes and starts actually doing all this pretty cool stuff here. So he says, well, Superboy, those ships have never been raised, but with your help, yes, I will take on the contracts to raise them. And then this is the big evil guy. While they're gone, I know how I can ruin Harper for good. So that this is Harper. So, so the American Museum agreed to pay if you could raise the wreck of the Hesperus, if that's how you pronounce it. All right. So it was an actual wreck on December 17th, 1839. So I guess they're giving you some backstory here. So this was them getting submerged. So down in the green depths, without need of a diving helmet, the boy of steel searches until this is it. This is Hesperus. Actually, Superboy Prime these days turns out that he was right after the crisis. These heroes became less. Oh, yeah, I guess he was right. You're right. Hashtag Superboy was right. Okay, so basically, there's this giant squid here. It's like, okay. So after Vane attempts to loosen the giant squid, so he can't raise the thing because the squid's around it. As fast as I untwist the tentacle, he grabs the wreck again with the other tentacle. I've got to break it up. Okay, or scare him off. So basically, so sperm whale's there, just what I'm looking for, but he's diving in the wrong direction. So he literally like controls the whale. This is so weird. And then that's supposed to scare the squid because they're like their natural enemies. So then, boom, the squid goes away, and then he's able to start lifting this up. So now he actually got it and put it on exhibition. So now for the second salvage job you contracted with the Navy. So this is the Monitor and Merrimack. Merrimack? Okay. So these are warships from history, and on March 9th, 1862, the war between the states, they met in battle. So here you go. So it's cool that they're showing you a little bit of this backstory with these ships. So they're saying it's around here, but the sand is the problem. So with my X-ray vision, I can find it in the sand. Uh-oh, the sand has a lead content enough to bar my X-ray vision. Oh, that sucks. So remember how I was saying in every story, Superboy has to make something wacky? Well, here you go. He makes like this giant super electromagnet. It's like, okay. So because the Monitor ship was iron, it will pull it out of the sand to the surface. Like, okay, so he literally made this big, huge magnet. And then he just uses the magnet again to get the other one up. So that's it. And now for our biggest salvage, the Titanic. So they're saying the Titanic was the greatest shipwreck in history. On April 15th, 1912, the greatest liner afloat struck an iceberg, and we all know what happened there. It sank, and you can watch a James Cameron movie to see. Okay, so this is where it sank, but at that depth, the pressure is so great, no diver can stand it. Fortunately, I'm invulnerable to pressure. So Superboy goes down there. Okay, so first of all, he finds it, and his first job is to repair the gash made by the iceberg. So he's literally repairing it. So he's literally just like using his hands. So now he's attaching an air hose. So the pumps above can pump air into the ship and make it float to the surface. And check this out. My God, he's blowing into it and it's raising the Titanic. I mean, this is crazy. He rose. He was able to raise the Titanic just with his breath. That's awesome. So he filled the contracts, and he saved the company. I mean, obviously, this guy's company is going to be crazy if they raise the Titanic. Like, this guy can just retire. Like, he never has to do anything else again. So now you got the cops come in and they're like, "We're closing your salvage company. We found smuggled goods in your warehouse." He's like, "But I never smuggled anything. The Griffin crowd must have planted the stuff in my warehouse. They've been trying a long time to put me out of business. You can't prove that, right?" So Superboy obviously is going to try to help out, right? Because that's the point of this. What was the point of saving his business if he's just going to go under for something else, right? So he says, "Their one-man subs only go out when a big liner is coming into port. I see now how they work their smuggling racket, but I still have to prove it. A one-man sub, just like the Griffin subs. But now I'll need help. Lots of it." So he gets the boys together here. "Boys, we can prove Pop Harper's innocence if you'll help me." "Sure, just give us the diving helmets and we'll do what you ask." So he helps the kids out. So one of the kids here is like, "Oh, I'm reporting with walkie-talkie. The liner just passed overhead, Superboy." So they're being a lookout here for him. So the smugglers have some jewels. The weight will carry the jewels down, and Griffin subs will pick up the package as usual and smuggle it ashore. So this guy's reporting, okay, there's a package falling down. Superboy, he's gonna go grab it. So it comes up into the shore. So basically it gets transferred here. He's like, "Okay, get the jewels." And then boom, Superboy's in there. "Yes, and I invited other guests as witnesses. We got your call and we're listening here. This clears Pop Harper all right." There you go. "I sure wish I'd been on that adventure. You namby-pamby Clark Kent helping Superboy." That's a laugh. So we got a little bit of a jab at Superboy at the end there. That's it. And at the bottom it says, "Now read Superman in Action Comics, World's Finest Comics, and Superman." So that is the end of issue 4 for Superboy. I like this one. It was a lot of fun. I think what was my favorite? Oracle was all right. I think the Oracle was my favorite, I guess. This safety one was just too weird. The other one had a giant squid, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think the first one was my favorite. So, okay. All right, guys. Well, that was issue 4. I hope everyone had fun reading issue 4. I will do issue 5. I'll continue to do these just to amuse myself. Try to keep them around half an hour or so. So that is it. Some quick updates. There's going to be a stream on Friday. We're going to talk about some Transformers, some Transformer stuff, and then Saturday I'm going to be on Gray Malkin's channel. So, but the next stream for me will be tomorrow night, doing some wrestling talk. So that is it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.